You know that game that they played in Harry Potter, Quidditch, that thing? So I might have played that when I was in college, and we're just going to roll the intro on that.
I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone in progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through them.
Welcome back to another episode of the Problems on Problems podcast. I am your host, Mike Santi, and yes, like the intro says, I was a college Quidditch player for... I actually don't think I played any games. All right, so, I mean, for those of you that don't know, I was a former college soccer player. Then by the time I got over to junior year, I was no longer playing soccer. But let's give you a real quick rundown of the rules of Quidditch, because you're going to have to understand this for any of this part of the story to make sense. So basically in Quidditch, it is like, oh God, I could already feel the embarrassment welling up inside me. But in college Quidditch, it's a club sport. It's obviously not an NCAA like varsity sport. Let's not get carried away, but they do have national championships and all that stuff. Can't you tell I'm so excited about this story? But the rules. So basically, the way this thing's broken down is that it is 7-a-side, so 7 players per team, and those players consist of 3 chasers, 2 beaters, 1 keeper, and 1 seeker. And then there's usually like a mutual golden snitch between schools, like a cross-country player that runs around. We'll get to that part later. But basically, if you've seen anything about the movies, the chasers are the ones with the quaffle. Now, granted, they didn't have a quaffle. The closest thing, I guess, in the real world would be like a volleyball. You have like a volleyball or a deflated soccer ball if you're not doing too hot in the club sports arena. And chasers basically throw this ball around over and over again, trying to score in one of the 3 hoops, which I know what you're thinking. Are they really all at different heights and things like that? Yes, they're at different heights. They're all at different heights. You can score from the front or the back. We're going to leave that in. And so basically, you just got to throw the ball or run the ball till you can score, like any other kind of goal sport. Then the 2 beaters come into play. Now, these guys have dodgeballs, and they're trying to hit you with dodgeballs literally anywhere. I'm pretty sure head counts are legal. Like that, you could just throw a ball at someone's head in this game, which is, kind of all right, kind of nice. I like it. But if you get hit with this dodgeball, you got to like run around to your hoops, and then you can come back into play, some bullshit like that. And then there's the keeper. You're a goalie. Do your job. Don't let people score. And then the seeker. The seeker, gosh. To understand the seeker, you have to understand the snitch. The golden snitch is more or less a cross-country runner that at the releasing of the snitch, you know how that little ball with wings and stuff like that goes all around the stadium? It could be campus. It could be fucking anywhere. Well, guess what? The real life snitch does that too, because it's a person who's a cross-country runner who's an asshole. And they will run around God knows where, all throughout town, on campus, whatever, while the seekers chase them. Now, if you had to guess, I'm not that. I wasn't a seeker. Your boy was just a chaser. And oh man. Oh, the other thing. Here's the thing. Every hoop is 10 points. So every time you score, it's 10 points. And then the game is over when the golden snitch is caught. So when the snitch is caught, and if it's caught off campus, when the player returns back to the field with the golden snitch, their team gets 30 points and the game is over. So there you know, that is college Quidditch. Oh, and on top of that, you got to stay on top of a broom the whole time. Yes, I said a broom, and I mean a broom. So now that we've got that part out of the way, you know that movie, not the movie, you know those movies where the plot is like the jock joins the nerds. The jock joins the nerds. And then he realizes that they're normal people and that they have feelings too, and that this weird sport that everybody else would pick on has given them some type of inclusion and like a sense of community. And I would say it as much of a cliche as it was all those things. Where now, granted, I understood people, and I was also a nerd. Like let's not pretend here. Like, yeah, I played college sports, but also you boys out here with like a 3.8 GPA, so I'm not no fucking dummy, as I say it in that accent. But all I was told was that, hey, Mike, you're a chaser. You just make sure you don't get hit and you score. That was it. And you're probably wondering, Mike, how did you get yourself caught up in college Quidditch? Like, what happened? Like, we went from college soccer player to this. And I'll tell you why. So So basically the timeline goes that my junior year of college, it was my third university at this time, or third college/university at this time. And I had officially stopped playing soccer at a college level. And that's just because, number one, your boy knew he wasn't going to go pro. So you know that moment that, I don't know, a lot of you athletes have, where whether that be in high school, college, or even sometimes in the pros, where you understand that you're not good enough for the next level. And that's okay, because life doesn't just revolve around sports. And so I had that moment sometime around sophomore year. And when that season finished, I knew, I was like, hey, let's hang it up. Let's focus on graduating. Get the fuck out. Like, you're about to transfer to your third school. Like, do we really have a game plan kind of thing? And so after that come to Jesus meeting, I knew that going into the junior year, maybe I'd play club soccer. But even then, you never know. Or maybe I would get a job. That would help, especially since I was paying like my own car insurance, phone bills, things like that. And part of my way through school, it would be nice to have a job that actually paid well, or paid enough so that I could survive. That part being said, I was fully focused on that, fully focused on looking for a job. And in comes my college roommate at the time. And he says, hey man, I'll be back. I'm going to go to Quidditch practice. And I said, excuse me, what are you talking about? And he explained the whole thing. He was like, yeah, we got a club Quidditch team. They practice down there, which conveniently was across the street from my dorm suite. It was across the street from where I lived at the time. Dorms, for sure. It was across the street from the dorms. And I was like, oh, well, this is very convenient. It's something physically active. I need physical activity so I don't blow up like a balloon, like now. And so I said, you know what? Let's try it out. And a couple things that I learned while playing Quidditch. Do you play Quidditch? I feel like you have to play Quidditch. The broom thing doesn't, like, it still messes me up to this day, because I'm just like, why did I do that? Why did I literally hold a broom between my legs and run full speed with a volleyball in one hand, dodging dodgeballs to throw this ball through a hoop past someone? Let's be honest, the guy was not that athletic. And you know what? Blanket statement. I don't claim to be the pinnacle of athleticism or health or anything like that. All I know is that college soccer player compared to people that barely played high school sports, exactly what you think happens. And so it was great. I was a star, me being a show pony, fed into it, all that good stuff. And so I thought, yeah, we could fuck this up. We could do this thing. It's going to be fine. And then started like the looks and the whispers and the talking and all that stuff. And eventually I was like, nah, fuck it. We're going to keep doing this anyways because your boy's good at it. And honestly, I might be able to recruit some athletes to come over onto this team. Don't quote me on that. All that to say, I show up day one and I am the most confused about what the fuck's going on. Like, first, there's buckets to hold the hoops. The hoops are basically hula hoops on PVC pipes. More confusing things to come. The brooms are legitimately like these. They're not actual brooms. That's not true. A broom is a broom. They weren't like full-size adult brooms that you would see, I don't know, in a house that you'd use to sweep or something like that. These were like miniature brooms that were maybe like from the floor to my hip, if that. And so I guess they made it so it was more manageable in the sky. Oh, fuck. It's not a real thing. You were on the ground the whole time, Mike. You didn't fly. You weren't in Harry Potter. But yes, so the whole broom thing, that was weird. And then the other thing that I learned about this is that there's such thing as like alpha nerds. And if for those of you that don't really know what an alpha nerd is, an alpha nerd is, you know, that stuck up guy? Yeah, the stuck up, pompous, like, ooh, I'm smarter than you and I'm going to try and flex this kind of guy, that asshole. He exists. And in a realm like college Quidditch, at least when I was there around the school that I was at, I'm pretty sure this guy did fairly well for himself in the department of the ladies, if you want to call it that, or a social status, where within this little group of misfits and nerds and things like that existed the alpha nerds that were like cool in a sense. And they're cool until, I guess, average people showed up, because these guys did not like me, and I kind of liked it. I mean, Petty Mike, I'm all for the drama when it's like stupid stuff like that, but to have guys that thought they were all that dislike me, I was just like, shoot, let's feed into it. Let's be the bad guy. And what I didn't realize is that these people, Quidditch players, at the time weren't that familiar with physical contact. And I read the rules, and there's physical contact, whether that be, now granted, you're not going into people, shouldering them, body checking them and stuff like that. But I'm saying if the ball's in the air and it's a 50-50 and you manage to, I don't know, hit somebody in the air while you're in there with your body, so be it. Or if you're running around a hoop and some guy's trying to cut you off so you don't get to your hoop and you run into him, but then he falls, so be it. And I think that's how we built a nice team dynamic in which we won our first scrimmage, and then I stopped playing. Yeah. I made it to one scrimmage, and I stopped playing, and it's because I actually got a job that required me to go and work nights. Transparently, I got a job working at a local high school as the assistant varsity women's lacrosse coach. And so, listen, that's a whole other story. We don't need to talk about that yet. But practices were like 6:30 to 8, and oddly enough, that's exactly when Quidditch practice was. So, oh no, I can't do Quidditch practice. I decided to go coach. I mean, they were paying. Technically, that's not true. We'll talk about that in another story. And eventually, I became assistant regional coach of the year. But yeah, college Quidditch, there's got to be, if there's a video that I can find of like our scrimmage or something like that, I'll put it up here. Maybe I'll put a link to it. Maybe I'll try and rip some of it off. But yeah, just know that there was a time in Mike Sante's life that I was a college Quidditch player, but not anymore. So we're going to take a break, do the thing that we always do, come back, do the debate, which, ooh, guys, we got to talk about this debate, and then we'll send y'all all home. As if you're not at home watching this. We'll do the debate. We'll take a quick little break, come back, and do the whole wrap up.
P.O.P.
What are we back with? And we're back with the great debate. So last episode, because it wasn't last week. Last episode, I asked you what goes first, or which goes first, cereal or milk. And 97% of you, thank God, said cereal. For the 3% of you out there, what happened? 3% of you think that milk should go into a bowl first and then the cereal. Like, what? Is there an official website out there somewhere where I don't know, is there like a support group for y'all? Like, do I report y'all to the authorities? Because no pun intended, y'all are some straight up serial killers. And I'm not okay with it. Who in their right mind thinks, that empty bowl, look good in there? Milk. I'm sorry. Did you want to eat something with that? Yeah, eventually. But let's just put a bowl of milk first, because I'm a cartoon feline. Like, what are we doing out here? If you don't pour your cereal first and then your milk, I can't help you. Honestly, there's not much help for you. I have little hope for how the rest of your life is going to go. And I fully mean that. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, 97% of you are sane people. The other 3% of you are psychopaths and need help. And if your one argument is that like, oh, it's less messy, pour the milk slower. Like, have you ever been in that much of a rush where you have to like dump milk into cereal? Like, you already know it has a probability of going everywhere or hitting the wrong, knowing your luck, it's probably the wrong, like, I don't know, choose your cereal. Cheerios. It's probably the wrong like hoop or the wrong angle and that shit goes splattering everywhere. But like, pour it slower. Pour it like a human being, like an adult maybe. But yeah, 97% said cereal first. Thank you. This week, because I am a drama goblin, drama goblin? Drama goblin. I don't actually hate the sound of that. We'll come back to that part, I guess, at another day. We need to revisit that. But this week, would you rather clog the toilet on your first date or on your first day of work? And let me be very clear for this one. If it's your first date, I want you to know that this first date, this toilet clogging is like, let's say the date has gone well and you're back at their place. Yeah, you're back at their place doing God knows what. I mean, not anything crazy. You guys are just hanging out or whatever. And let's say for some reason you were irresponsible and decided, hey, I'm going to eat dairy and I'm lactose intolerant. So stupid on your end. And now the stomach is doing a little rumbling and you're like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. You know the worst part about this? It's a 1-bedroom apartment. And that bathroom is right there within earshot. So what are you going to do? And then on the other side of that, if it's your first day at work, I want you to think a small enough office where there are 2 toilets. There's a men's women. There's a men's women. There's a men's bathroom and a women's bathroom. And there are, in each of those, there are just a couple of toilets where like if you clog one, not only is someone immediately going to find out, but you're going to inconvenience the rest of the floor. So would you rather clog the toilet on your first date or on your first day at work? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the polls, and we'll talk about it next week. But with that, we move on over to the part of the show that I forgot. We move on over to the Friday Follows. This week, for the Friday Follows, we're shouting out the Queen City Blues. For those of you that don't know, your boy is a massive Chelsea fan. Up the Blues. Come on, Chels. So, that being said, am I a politician? That being said, if you guys, I don't know, don't follow European football or anything like that, or for some reason just dislike sports, I get it. I don't get it, but like, it's cool. You're welcome here. But this past weekend was the UEFA Champions League final with Chelsea Football Club and Manchester City. And the boys in blue, royal blue, because if you know anything about Manchester City, you know that they're light blue. But the boys in royal blue brought it home. London is blue again. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. But Chelsea are the 2021 UEFA Champions League champions. In not the most exciting game, but they did what they had to do, and they held it down, securing the bag, bringing the trophy home as if I live in London. But good boys. But good on you. So with that, make sure that you guys are following Queen City Blues, the official Charlotte support group for support group for Chelsea FC. They meet, follow the schedule, become a member of Chelsea in America if you want to, the official American support group for Chelsea in America, which has a bunch of different regions. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, usually watch games over at Courtyard Hooligans in the French Quarter of Uptown Charlotte. I'm pretty sure your city also has. Yeah, if you don't know, if you're not in Charlotte, look up your local support group. And that goes for really any club. I'm just very partial to Chelsea. So Queen City Blues, you get the follow this week. The next person that's going to get the follow, or this week's Friday follow, is AttractiveWill. Actor, tap dancer, all around cool dude. Man's doing bits, about to graduate this year. Go give him a shout out at AttractiveWill on Instagram. But that being said, guys, yeah, it's a short episode this week, but it's also a short week this week. I forgot it's Tuesday, and I'm paying dearly for it. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All that good stuff to the Problems on Problems YouTube page. Don't forget to like us. Don't like me in general, like my post, but don't forget to follow us on Problems Podcast on Instagram, at Problems_pod on Twitter, and shoot, go follow us, go like us, go subscribe to all the things that we're doing on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify, and everywhere else podcasts can be found. And per usual, follow your boy at MikeSanty18 on all social media, guys. But like I always say, if it's not a good time, hope it's a good story. And I will see you guys next week.
Solo mío, gente, estoy serio. Yo soy el mismo de siempre, el chamaco del barrio que quiere la gente. Vacilamos en tu mente, gozándonos la vida es más que suficiente.